a boom boom. From the womb to the tomb. I'm a tough and tall face. Bitches in my crawl space. Have abortions sometimes. No, I'ma have abortions always.
Get that fetus, kill that fetus, get that fetus, kill that fetus.
Hello, everybody, and I would like to welcome you to the Mr. No Bones show, I guess. I don't know. Mr. No Bones live stream, whatever you want to call it. So, looks like everything's working well today. I've transitioned my streaming off to a second PC, an old, it's funny, it's an old HP corporate laptop that was phased out and was going to be thrown away and was sent to me by my good friend Michael, and he meant it to be used by my son, you know, but since I don't have my son, I don't have access to my son, I don't get to see or talk to my son, it's not going to get used for that. It's going to get used to shift the streaming work over to another box so that my main computer can do all my music stuff efficiently, because doing both at the same time was a source of a lot of my hassles, streaming wise, you know, quality issues and whatnot. So, welcome to the show. It has been longer than I like or want or intend since I last streamed, and I figured I should tell you guys why, and I should give you an peek into an explanation into what's going on with me, what is my current battles and struggles, and also since I don't want to just be mopey and piss and moan, I'm also gonna then talk about my time with a global movement started by my friend Gary LaChance called Tom and Gary's Decentralized Dance Party. And if you're not familiar, I'll give you a little bit of history and a little bit of introduction. And then I'm going to tell you a little bit about my personal involvement in the global decentralization movement, the capital P partying movement, and the quest to party for world peace. So, got my water. So you guys know I'm chronically ill. I have multiple sclerosis as well as vascular Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and my life at this point, the majority of my energy daily is put into just simply just managing my illnesses and the symptoms of my illnesses, and continuing to live the life that I want to live in the way that I want to live it, and in defiance of the fact that I was told that I would be in a wheelchair by 2006. I started my martial arts teaching career in 2006, 2005, 2006. Yeah, let's say 2006. So the biggest Let me just kind of share, being chronically ill and especially being disabled in a way that is not outwardly visible. Disabled people like myself, we really struggle with getting the care and the accommodations that we need, because if you look at me, you would not say, oh yeah, that guy's disabled, give him a placard, let him fucking park close to the closer to the entrance. You know what I mean? And so for 10 years, the 10 years that I was a professional martial arts instructor, I was able to both live and work in such a fashion that it supported me living 100% dedicated to not succumbing to my illness, to not becoming functionally disabled. And, I internalized a lot of ableism by kind of holding it proud, like a badge of honor, that people would always tell me, wow, I always forget you're disabled. That was a compliment, and I was really proud of that. But then I realized, I'm doing both myself and other disabled people like me a real disservice by minimizing and not making people aware of, even though from the outside what you see looks like an extremely functional, capable, exceptional human being, both in word, thought, and action. You don't see the literally thousands of things that every single day go into compensating for and living with and being functional in despite of my illnesses, my illnesses. We'll just say my illnesses. Chronic illness, especially when the type of chronic illnesses that I have, multiple sclerosis and vascular Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, those are not things that got inside my body and made me sick, right? MS is a malfunction of my immune system, where my immune system identifies my white blood cells as as phages, as an intruder, and those my immune system is able to do something it's not supposed to do, which is cross the blood-brain barrier and attack the myelin sheathing, which is basically the insulation on the wires of my nervous system, and it eats those away and causes scar tissue, which permanizes, if that's a word, the dysfunction brought on by the damage to that system. And I figured out that if I lose capacity due to that kind of central nervous system damage, that if I try really, really, really hard to access that system, even though the wiring between cause and effect is damaged, I could either eat away at, they're called plaques, but it's scar tissue that lock in, damage to my central nervous system. I could either eat away at those plaques by continually just pounding them with neurotransmitters, or that eventually it would, path of least resistance, right? The flow of water is eventually going to go around that rock and reconnect to the river on the other side, if that makes sense. There's also the analogy of animals marching to the watering hole. Neural nets are built by continually sending neurotransmitters down that path repeatedly, over and over and over. And the more times you do it, the more worn in it gets, and the less you have to try to do the thing. And so I don't want to get too off track and super deep into this, but I'm just kind of letting you guys know, that, the spoons theory. Spoons theory is a good thing, but it's also like kind of, it's overburdened with necessity to explain, because spoons aren't really a great metaphor for ability to do a thing, right? So the way that my modified spoon theory, I call the gaming token, or there's the tokens theory. And you think about your whole life and everything, every action that you partake in that life as machines in an old school stand-up arcade. And if you youngins don't know what a old school stand-up arcade is, I'm pretty sure you can find one close by you. We have a few in Austin, retro gaming establishments. But every action that you, me, anybody may undertake in the course of a day is represented by an arcade machine. So there's the walking arcade machine, there's the eating arcade machine, there's the drinking arcade machine, there's the using your hands arcade machine, right? This goes out as far as your personal capabilities. Right? So if you follow the metaphor, and if you don't follow the metaphor, let me know in the chat. I am really trying to have my chat open over here and interact with it. So if you want to ask me anything, hit me up in chat. YouTube chat is on. But most people, their arcade, you wake up, you walk into your arcade. Waiting for you at the entrance of the arcade is a giant burlap sack full of tokens that go into the arcade machines and make them work. And then you go into the arcade and 75%, 50%, 60-ish, we'll say 60% of the machines are on free play mode. You don't even have to put a token in. You just walk over to the walking machine and you tap, 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 and you walk from here to there. You don't really have to think about it. You don't really have to try. It's just a thing you do. The event that caused me to go to the doctor and say, well, I think there's something really wrong with me, was that after a flu-like episode, which that's very common among MS sufferers, I went to the store, and this was back when you had to sign your name on a piece of paper to swipe your card. I know, I'm old, you guys. I'm ancient. I'm a fucking dinosaur. But a little slip of paper came out and they handed you a pen. Can you imagine COVID times handing me a pen? But they handed me the pen and I went to sign my signature. Okay, I walked up to the sign your signature machine, and if you have a signature, you probably know it's kind of a we can say reflexive action. It's like muscle memory, you know? You don't try to sign your signature. You just sign your signature. And I went to just sign my signature, and what came out was, and I'm like, try again. Hit the button, and like, hand, why you no do thing. And, you know, at this point, I was already a experienced and capable martial artist. I'd been a martial artist since I was 15, let's say. And so my body not doing what I tell it to, quite weird, right? So, in this metaphor, sorry, trying to off-camera burp. It's a symptom, side effect of my gastritis. I have chronic gastritis due to my Ehlers-Danlos. So sometimes I just have to like burp these big gnarly burps, but that it keeps me from vomiting. In this metaphor, okay, when I walk into the arcade, I don't get a burlap sack. I get a little teeny tiny bag of tokens. And every day, the number of tokens in that bag is different. Some days it's a lot. Some days it's none. And as I go through the arcade, for me, none of the machines are on free play. Every single thing that I got to do, and, you know, if I'm going to do me, I'm going to do it the best I can. It costs tokens. And some of the machines take way more tokens than they're supposed to. Some of the machines are just turned off that day. They just don't work. And sometimes I start a day and something will happen. Somebody will walk up to me and kick my bag of tokens. And so my tokens will go flying. And I have less tokens all of a sudden. Love you, Jason. Thanks for tuning in, bud. My bigger brother, Jason, is in the chat. He's also recently found out. It's weird, like my circle of social, you know, humans that I still vibe with. So many of us are realizing we have EDS, and it's bizarre. It's supposed to be this like incredibly rare disease. Posture, Sensei Tommy. If I slouch, my shit's gonna hurt. So, yeah, somebody could walk up to me and kick my bag of tokens and they all fucking roll down the drain. And like, shit, I thought I was going to be able to do things today and now I can't. And this is on a psychological level, this is on an emotional level, and this is on a physical level. It's extremely variable. And one of the most extenuating factors, if that's the right word, you know, one of the most influential things on my state, my physical capability, my health, right, is stress and my emotional state, my psycho-emotional state. I need to stop saying Help me work on that, guys. Remind me. Stop saying When I am cool, calm, collected, focused, happy, right? I can do a lot. I'm still disabled, and yet could, I'm not fucking gonna like toot my own horn, but I could probably beat 40 to 60% of the people in the world in a fight still, in this condition, right? I'm all right. I can do some shit, but what's going on inside of here has a distinct, direct impact on what I can do out here. Okay, grok? And so, I've been working for months now on this, like, new job, right? MrNoBones.com, streamer, content creator, multidisciplinary, multi-platform, multi-contextual artist, teacher, performer, content creator, right? I've been working really hard on this, and it's something that I really believe in myself that I can do. Like, I'm capable of accomplishing this thing. But that's my favor getting dropped off. I am climbing my way right now out of a very deep pit that represents the last 3 years of my life, since my divorce from my ex-wife. And my life, really got cratered. And in that process, I stopped having the capacity and or opportunity to do the things that I got to do so that my body will stay functional. And also in that time, I turned 40, which anybody who's turned 40 knows that there's kind of you're over a hill now, and it's things you just don't bounce back as fast, you just don't heal as fast, you don't recover as fast. And you guys got to understand, I have been in many pits in my life. I have relearned how to walk on my own 3 times now, okay? 3 times in my life. I have had to go from I cannot walk to now I can walk, and I did it on my own. I've never been to a single physical therapist. I have handled all of my own training protocols because I educate myself on everything that I possibly can that might be important. And I was a professional movement coach, as well as, movement, meditation, energy work, martial arts, flow arts, interpersonal life skills. These were all things that, I studied very deeply on. And I also studied for many years very deeply on the art of teaching, of being a teacher, And some people have told me I have a bit of a natural charisma, right? So, but I've always been weird to me, right? So learning how to interface with and share information with broad segments of the population, right? Shit, I'm getting fucking really off track here. I'm accustomed to being and doing good as well as possible. One of my central philosophies is everything is kung fu. And one of the tenets of that philosophy I call the 3 E's, and that's in everything that you try to do, you should approach, you should strive for maximum efficacy, efficiency, and elegance. And when you do those 3 things in harmony and balance, I feel like whatever you're trying to do, you're going to get the best result. That's just my philosophy. I'm not telling you, and please, in all my years of teaching, I say this. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm never, ever going to tell you what to do. I'm telling you what I do. And if that works for you, awesome. If that doesn't work for you, awesome. Right? Because I recognize I'm a fucking outlier. I am very far out on the edge of the bell curve of human beings and what human beings can do and all of that, right? Skills, talents, blah, 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 blah. Hey, Nicole. Love you. Thanks for coming in, girl. Tell Julie I love her. God damn these fucking, yes, Postmates, or yes, favor, I get it. Thank you. You rung my doorbell. I understand. Jason. So, I have been currently and since my divorce, but you know, it's been a pretty linear up curve, right? Increase over time. Have been in a protracted legal battle with my ex-wife over the custody of my son, and my custodial rights of my son. And my ex is borderline personality for sure. Most likely the whole cluster B. Bipolar. You know, all of the bad things, and refuses to acknowledge or work on the fact that these are things that she struggles with. And I, for the duration of our 16-year relationship, tried to help her work on those things. Post-relationship, you know, she very loudly declared that all my years of trying to help her were abuse, and that she didn't actually have these problems, that my abuse caused her to act in this way. Now, I have people who have known her longer than me who will tell you, who will testify in court, that's bullshit. She's acted this way her whole life. So, not here to talk shit on my ex, just giving you context. I, for the most of my life, didn't have a dad. My pops, Robbie Holbert, he in the late 70s, early 80s was the first person to cut the forks off of a dirt bike and weld shocks into place. And in the motocross racing circuit, he would jump high. And for a small time in his life, he was a fucking superstar. He literally invented Supercross. But he was also a slave to chemical and alcohol dependence. He was he was a superhuman, but he wasn't calibrated to right action. He was calibrated to wrong action. You know, the qubit at the core of his soul, the quantum particle at the core of his being was flipped down, not up. Okay, and it killed him. It ate him. It ate him alive. And you know, he bounced on my family shortly after my younger sister was born when I was about 4. Had no relationship with him after that point. He relinquished his parental rights when I was 10, and my stepdad at that time, Bill Schultz, adopted me, even though he was just a couple of years before paralyzed in a crop dusting accident and was a C4 quadriplegic. That means his 4th cervical broke and everything below this line, no feeling, no function for the rest of his life. But he decided, hey man, this kid needs a dad. I'm gonna adopt him and try to be a dad. And he fucking, you know, he did what a man of his era and background thought was the right things to do to make me into a man. And I greatly value a large amount of those things. But he died on my 16th birthday. So most of my life, I've not had a dad. And it has always been one of my life's goals to be a dad. And to be the best dad that I can be. To fucking, you know, I mean, like all good parents, right? We wanna save our child from the trauma that we endured, right? If we can help impart the proper wisdom and so on, and save them from having to go through the shit that we went through, right? So in 2010, a little kitten appeared, and I'm a cat person if you haven't figured that out yet, or you didn't know that. A kitten appeared in the bushes in front of our house, and I rescued him, and his name was Charlie. And I had a Bengal cat who, his name was Mayshu, but we just called him Bang or Bengals. And he was he was one of my twin flames. You know, he was me and he was me and I was him. And he taught me a great deal about myself and like what I am. Bengals adopted Charlie as his baby, and he mamaed that little baby kitty, and we all just fell deeply in love with this little kitten. And over the next few months, as he grew, he aged incredibly rapidly. Like, literally by the time he was 6 months old, he was bow-legged and going blind from cataracts, couldn't jump, you know, and when we took him to the doctor, they were like, yeah, he has a genetic defect, and we don't know what it is. Where he probably has a genetic defect. We don't know what it is, but it's causing him to age rapidly, and you know, the humane thing to do is let him go. So we let Charlie go, and you know, I've euthanized a lot of animals over the years, unfortunately, because I've had a lot of animals. Mayshu was there, licking Charlie's head as he, you know, crossed the Rainbow Bridge. He went to the big sleep. He crossed the Rainbow Bridge to frolic in the infinite meadows. Sorry. I promised myself I wasn't going to get fucking super choked up on this stream, so I'm going to try to keep my shit together. Losing Charlie made us realize that we wanted a baby. It was time. And, you know, my wife and I had put off having a baby for quite some time. Like, we were very fastidious about no babies, very careful. Never had any pregnancy scares, anything like that. But we decided that day we were going to have a baby. And when we had talked about being parents for a lot of years, a few years before, in 2007, we were lucky enough to go to Amsterdam for the Sensation White rave on 7707, which was a magical, life-changing event, and for a lot of reasons. I got a lot of stories about that trip. But one of the things that happened on that trip was, we were talking about baby names. And we had kind of a list of boy and girl names and whatnot. And I had, on the plane ride over there, had this idea of, a joke. Ha, this will be funny. And we were sitting in the outdoor patio of the Pink Elephant Cafe in Paris, France, and having a romantic ass meal, talking about our future. And I said, just as a joke, hey, what about Boss? And she looked at me and she smiles real big and she goes, I love it. And I'm like, wait, hold on. I was kind of joking. But I mean, the interest, the background on Boss, B-A-S, is, if you're a martial artist, you know who Boss Rutan is. And if you don't know who Boss Rutan is, go look up the Boss Rutan self-defense tape better version. And you'll find out who Boss Rutan is. Dang it a dang, okay? Stab in the liver, right? Liver shot. And a couple years later, had the opportunity to meet Boss Rutan. And as we were getting our picture taken with him, I leaned over and I said, hey, Boss, we're thinking about naming a kid after you. And he looks at me and he puts that big meaty finger in my face and he goes, you gotta do it! And if you know Boss Rutan and his crazy fucking Dutch accent, and the decision was made that if we had a boy, and it was clear that he was going to be a powerful child, we were going to name him Boss. We tried literally 3 times to get pregnant, got pregnant. His Chinese zodiac was Metal Tiger. And we knew that. And even before we knew who he was, we called him Baby Tiger. And I interacted with this child so much. I got to know him long before he was born. And one of the things that he was known for was when we would go in for the ultrasounds, they put the little Doppler mic on there as well to hear the baby's heartbeat. And if you've never had a kid, you're sitting there and you can hear there's this tinny little speaker on this machine going and playing the heartbeat sound. But Boss didn't like the vibration that the Doppler mic, because it does it through a sonar effect, Doppler. He didn't like that. So he would always go over to the mic and he would start punching it. Pop, 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 pop. And I actually have a recording on my SoundCloud of that sound. I should actually I wish I fucking had queued up to play that for you easily. But if you go to my SoundCloud, it's way down there at the bottom. Boss punching the microphone a lot. I'll link it in the final video when it's published. But I knew that he was Boss. It was very, very clear. This was my kid, Boss. And I changed my name when I was adopted from Holbert to Schultz because I hated my dad, my pops at the time. I hated him for what he did, abandoning me. And I wanted to cast him off. But I really, over the years, had this growing regret because his dad, my grandpa Bob, was one of my biggest role models for non-toxic masculinity, for compassionate masculinity. And I love my grandpa Bob a lot, and he loved me a lot, and it also made him sad, I could tell, when I grew my facial hair because it made me look more like Robbie. So I actually would always shave before I went and visited Grandpa Bob. And so I really I didn't want to lose that line, that through line of the Holbert line. And I was the last Holbert male child. I'm the end of the line. And so I decided that my child's middle name would be Holbert. And I would let him know why, and let him know that it's important for us to keep that name alive and to keep passing it along. I'm even probably going to have my name changed legally to a non-hyphenated, just get a second middle name of Holbert. But, anyway, getting off track again. Drinky time. So, when my son was born, which that's a fucking story in and of itself, okay? My wife was on all fours, back of her facing this way, and there was no doctor in the room. There was only one nurse in the room. She said, "I gotta push." The nurse said, "Okay, push." She pushed, and a baby shot out of her and flew through the air. And my mom, my sister can testify. They watched this happen. That nurse grabbed a bed pad and dove like a net and caught the baby before he hit the floor. Okay? I was there. I was the first person shushing in his ear to start calming him, white noise. And he slept with that white noise all through a baby. He still to this day sleeps with shh because... Fuck. Okay. Not gonna cry. When he was born, I was still working, and my ex would tell me when I got home that her mothering instinct didn't turn on. She just would put the baby in his rocker across the room from her, and they would sit in silence staring at each other for the duration of my being at work. My son is me. He's the fucking upgrade of me. He's me times 1,000. And so many of the bad things about me, he doesn't have. So many of the bad things about his mom, he doesn't have. He's the fucking upgrade. And he's I've always half jokingly said, yeah, when he hits puberty, he's probably gonna become a mutant. He's gonna turn into an anthropomorphic tiger that can breathe fire and give himself Colossus metal skin. He's a fucking superhuman. And from the day he was born, me and him have been inseparable. And since my ex-wife, her mothering instinct never turned on, I was the primary parenting unit. And, being somebody who at the time was deep in study and practice of life education for children, I'd had a lot of practice with all ages of kids and a lot of observation over the years of, kids and how they work and what to look for and how, it was a good primer for being a parent, right? So in 2015, I guess, through a combination of actions, both mistakes made and occurrences completely outside of our control, there was a perfect storm of things happened, and suddenly my family found ourselves homeless. And I, in all my years of being really fucking good at stuff, have never managed to connect with an employer who would pay me enough to live. And that's just bottom line. That's facts. Now, my family, luckily, has some money because my father was wrongfully crippled by a corporation's negligence. So my mom, shout out to Barbara, my mom, has supported me all these years. She's made up the difference, right? And one thing about my ex, and they say BPD people in general, it's a tendency to have reckless behavior, and reckless spending was her thing. And she felt like, oh, my husband has, I'm going to tighten this so it'll stop squeaking. All right, that's a little better. She felt like, hey, my husband's family has what she perceived to be infinite money, so she just lived like she was rich. And so when we became homeless, we had a few months, that was shortly after we, in 2014, became a part of the Central Texas Burning Man regional community, Burning Flipside, and the surrounding events, Burnt Soup, Rabbit Soup, etc., Freezer Burn. But we had purchased, after our first Flipside, we came into the opportunity to do something that we had both had a childhood dream of, which is owning a school bus, and converted school bus into an RV. And so we bought a 19, God, must have probably been an 87 Chevy Bluebird short bus. A 6 window, so it's a short bus, and on a smaller chassis, on a mid-sized box truck chassis. Anyway, had a big block Chevy, carbureted motor, and a 4-speed with an electronic high-low shifter, and fourth gear was stripped, so you had to hold it, or third gear was stripped, so you had to physically fight to hold it. And it was hard to drive, and it was converted by an old man to tailgate with his college age son. And so it was a build that was both really really distinctive and lovingly handmade, but also very bare bones. No insulation. He didn't do any of the stuff you're supposed to do if you want to make a schoolie actually livable, like de-skin it, insulate it, delete windows, etc. So anyway, we embarked on this adventure of fucking living on a bus. And for 2.5 years, we lived in really awesome, beloved, cool burners. Shout out to Willow and shout out to Raj Mirage for letting us live in their yard out in the middle of fucking nowhere, and in that time, as Boss was becoming school age, and we had started to try to get him enrolled into preschools, right as we were losing our house. And so the whole thing became way too hard to do. And I, at the time, had been learning a lot about like this unschooling concept. And so for the next 2-3 years, I was my son's, not only his sole parental giver, parenter, but also his educator. And, unschooling is education through life experience, right? So having to really be very tuned into what your child is experiencing and making sure that they're getting as much positive educational data and experience from that, right? Also, he was throwing punches in the womb. That dude came out a martial artist, and he's been my number one student his whole life. And he trained martial arts for quite a few years, not even knowing he was trained in martial arts. It was just part of our language. It was our non-verbal communication system. When my wife's behavior finally became untenable, and understand, I had already been for 2 years 1 foot out the door. I was like, hey, I can't take this, the way that you live and the way that you treat me. I'm gonna leave you. She's like, no, I'll change, we'll work on it. And we had a son, didn't want to fucking deprive him of that family experience. And also she and I were a musical duo comprised of a band, right? Called Rumble Monster. And Rumble Monster gained some traction and some success in the Texas underground electronic music scene, right? And it was the most success musically that I ever had. And those are really what kept me in this abusive relationship far, far longer than I should have. But when we broke up, we split up, began the custody battle thing, and it was just fucking war, right? It was just war. And that was the time in temporal, on my personal timeline, that I had been kind of accumulating a growing list of symptoms that couldn't be explained by my MS. And my neurologist was just kind of like, shrug-a-reno. But after actually an incident at Flipside, what was it, 15 or 16? It's 2015, 2016. I guess it would have been 2016. Yeah. I experienced extremely severe gastrointestinal, stomach a gastritis attack, but I didn't know that's what it was, right? And I went to the emergency room twice over the course of that burn. But, and this is kind of the connection through line here. That was the burn that we were supposed to throw the biggest DDP that had ever been thrown at a regional burn. That Tom and Gary, they throw DDPs at Burning Man, and we wanted to emulate that, right? And yeah, that's right. 15 was flood side. I actually, the morning of what was supposed to be the DDP, and I had already been to the emergency room twice, and I called Gary LaChance on the phone, man, and we had a long conversation about the party magic, and that he believed in me. He told me, I believe in you. I know that you can do this. And sure as shit, even though I was fucking dying, spent most of that burn just curled up in the fetal position in my bed in the bus. Motherfucker, we DDP'd, man. We not only DDP'd, but distributed boomboxes over the whole event and kept the radio station going the whole time. And I had countless people tell me that little boombox with party tunes and your voice coming out of it at my tent was the defining feature of my burn. That was the best thing about this burn, was something that had to do with the DDP or the boombox cartel. So, fuck, I'm getting off track again, right? And Boss was a kid burner. He started burning at 4 and went to almost all of the burns with us. He it was part of his world too. But that's really when things came to a head, and I started, delving deeper into what the fuck was going wrong with my body, because some really bad shit was happening. Just like I've had a bad back my whole life, and it has just gotten to the point of like crippling pain events. As well as, like I said, gastrointestinal dysfunction, etc. I'm in the middle of this fucking battle to the death, and I suddenly find out, hey, you have this other disease that you've had your whole life. It came down your maternal line, and your maternal grandfather dropped dead at 53 from fucking spontaneous heart failure, which is what kills most people with EDS. And that I had a bad heart, and that literally my life expectancy suddenly became a question mark, as in like, you might die in the next few years. And all of the stress and all of the combined with me not doing what I need to do to stay functional. Wow. Okay, we've been going for an hour. Cool. Those condensed into really, really, really bad state for me physically, and I suddenly questioned whether, if I got custody of my son, that I would be able to provide for him in the way that he needed and that I was accustomed to. And my ex at the time, she promised she was going to continue to care for her mental health. She promised that she was going to continue to be employed. She promised that she was going to have a free place for her and Boss to live with her aunt. And so, as well as, I relented on him going to public school because I was not going to be able to keep up with his growing homeschool needs that were kind of outgrowing the unschooling model. So I raised the white flag to her and I said, hey, if I just stop fighting and I give you everything you want that you're asking for, can we do this peacefully? Because I, at that point, had spent $15,000 on lawyers and didn't even have a fucking court order, We just had like temporary agreement, And I ran out of money. I'm like, I can't financially support this battle. It's got to end. I can't physically, psycho-emotionally support this battle. It's got to end. She said, yeah, we'll use my lawyer, her lawyer. We'll make a very standard contract, sign it, file it, all good. I stupidly didn't have a lawyer read the document. I just read through it, thought that this must be what standard Texas boilerplate looks like. And I signed it. And that's, that's one of the fucking worst decisions I've ever made. I was the biggest fuck up, basically, I've ever done. And I fucked up pretty hard quite a few times, if you know me. Stop saying So, her and her lawyer wrote as much deceptive, disruptive, encumbering shit into the decree as they possibly could. And they just fucking slid it in there, and I signed it. And as soon as we signed that paper, she flipped the script. She fucking completely stopped her mental health care, denied that she was ever mentally ill, and began a campaign to deny me my parental role in my son's life. And all just completely what's the word? Vindictively. And so, since then, I, as a disabled person with no income, have been working with nonprofit legal services to try to draft documents that would allow me to represent myself in family court and get this situation fixed, right? And over time, she's more and more and more just arbitrarily denied me the rights that I'm given in the court order, and just fucking arbitrarily, in defiance of the court order and in complete belief that we DDP'd fucking hard. Just deciding that since she believes that she has the right, to do whatever the fuck she wants, and has continually and it's always a juke. I get something legally set up going here, and she jukes. I'm like, fuck, I have to go back and start redoing the documents again. So her, just that, the BPD mind, the way that it is constantly moving to maintain itself and its hold over its host body. She's kept me from my son. And in late August, she told me, hey, I'm going to be moving to a new place. Boss is going to be starting school back up. I had him, in the beginning of September, and she said, hey, will you return him to me a day early? And I said, yeah, so he can get ready for school as well as start moving into his new space. I dropped him off with her at 6 p.m. on September 7th. At 8:24 a.m. on September 8th, like 14 hours later, she messaged me saying, since I saw you last, I developed COVID symptoms, got a COVID test, and returned with a positive result. Now, we all know that's fucking impossible. There's zero way that could have fucking happened. She knew she had COVID. She fucking picked up our child knowing she had COVID, knowing she was going to give him COVID, to use that as an excuse to hide him from me. Then she moved into a new apartment and did not notify me or the court where the fuck she lives. And since September has been holding my son literally hostage, kidnapped, however you want to describe it. I've physically had access to him 2 times over that period, that I got, a weekend, 2 weekends with him that just happened to correspond with her needing childcare because she was going to go to a fucking drag event or to DJ at a fucking party, a furry event. And outside of that, both denied me my custodial visitation rights, but also denied me free and private communication with him. I was only allowed to speak to him just when she felt like it, and she had to be, it was FaceTime, and she had to be there on speakerphone in the room with me, and if I said anything she didn't like, she would in on me, we would start fighting, and the call would end. And so I, on December 25th, she just out of the blue says, hey, I want to let you give boss his birthday presents, which, again, as you probably surmise, there's always a fucking ulterior motive. She's not doing this out of the kindness of her heart. We were supposed to do this on the porch of my home here in San Antonio, and she was going to get here at fucking 7:30 at night. It was 60 degrees outside, and my porch lights don't work. Just the electricals are fucked. It doesn't work. So, I legally was supposed to have custody of him that weekend, both by the writ weekend, and specifically it was my Christmas in the court order to have him. She showed up on my porch in full party mode. She had on a crazy costume, all this PPE gear, and he did too. They were both just dressed to the nines, obviously in San Antonio on Christmas Eve or Christmas night for a fucking party. And I, in that moment, tried to retain custody of my child. He was wearing a big, huge faux fur plushy coat, and I grabbed the plush on the shoulder of it and I pulled him to me. At that point, my ex physically assaulted me. There was screaming and fighting. My son freaked out. He ran to the car. She left. Cops came. She's catching charges. This further complicates my fucking court action against her. And since then, I have been fully denied, zero contact with my son. I don't get to fucking FaceTime. I don't get to talk to him. I don't get to email with him. I don't get to physically be with him. And you know, this has been incredibly detrimental to my psycho-emotional and physical health. I don't know if I fucking finished my train of thought earlier, but yeah, I did. Stress exacerbates the effects of my chronic illnesses. And so I've not had the tokens to do what I need to do to fucking do this, to live stream, to do the thing that I've been putting all of my goddamn, every spare drop of energy that I have putting into this project, trying to continue my life's work in spite of the pandemic and my advancing disabilities. So that's the long and short of why I've not been streaming much. Why, even though I have this dope rig and everything's just fucking falling into place, the one thing that I need truly to have the tokens to do what I need to do is my son. I have to have my son. I fucking not gonna cry. But that's why that's my reasoning, And so I will take this moment to point out and thank, you notice I have my donos down at the bottom, people who have donated across all of my various support platforms, to help support me both continuing to live, continuing to make my art, and to teach and this thing, and in my legal battle. Like I said, I have no money, I have no income, I have to do all of this on my own with fucking all of this goddamn disability creeping on me, right? So this is my job. I work for free, and the only reason that I am able to exist and continue to do the things that I do is through the kindness of others. I am fucking phenomenally lucky that my life partner is a goddamn genius who, on her own ability to fucking write software while sitting in bed with her laptop, she's able to provide a home and support 3 adults and 3 children in the house. I'm fucking, I don't have to live in an RV anymore. I don't have to I'm blessed in that. But also, I have medical bills. I have to eat, and I have to eat a special diet in a very specific way because of my the gastrointestinal issues. And my legal fees just they keep coming. It's not getting fucking better, right? So this is my job. I work at MrNobones.com. Did I point the right direction? Yeah, I did it. See, I'm getting better at it. I work at MrNoBones.com, and if you go to MrNoBones.com/support, there are many convenient ways for you to give and to help me out, whether it's just a drop, you say, hey, good job, I'm going to throw $5 in your PayPal, or your Cash App. You can go to my GoFundMe and specifically contribute to my legal fund, and you can sign up at my Patreon, which I'm really, really trying to this is the best way. If you want to support me and you have the fucking the vocabulary circuit failure, if you have the abundance that you feel like you would not notice $5 a month disappearing out of your pocket and landing in mine, I guarantee you I will notice it. I will feel it, okay? It goes a long way for me. And I have a broad array of subscription options between $5 and $100 a month, okay? And I'm not trying to, I know it's fucking hard times, man. It's a goddamn pandemic. It's fucking late stage capitalism crumbling around us, right? I get it. You're hurting too. If you're hurting, I'm not fucking shaming you. I'm solidarity with you. But if you are blessed with abundance and compassion, if you could just head over to mrnobones.com/support, you can help me out a lot. You can get your name down there scrolling on the bottom of my screen. And you get a shout out. My last 3 donos, okay. Peg Fuller, an incredibly generous $50. Timothy Maxwell, a fucking unbelievably generous $100. And Rebecca Clifton, Keiko, with another $10 donation. I love you guys. Y'all are helping me to do this fucking thing. And this fucking thing ain't easy. But your generosity is deeply felt. So next thing I want to talk about is Tom and Gary's Decentralized Dance Party. Now, I'm going to play a clip here from Mr. Gary LaChance, the man who taught me this art form and brought me in really on the ground floor level of what would become a global movement. And when I first met Gary, he's got a very deadpan way of speaking. He does not seem like a party guy at all, but he believes in the sacred act of partying. We call it capital P partying. It's partying for a purpose, and partying being the opposite of fighting, right? We're trying to go in the other direction. Partying is peace. So, and he told me, I'm trying to win the Nobel Peace Prize for partying. And I at first thought, this is an act. This guy's got a fucking shtick, and he's just doing the persona, and this is all a well-crafted thing. And no, I was absolutely wrong. This man truly believes in partying for world peace. He, in the early days of the crypto boom, the cryptocurrency, when Bitcoin got big and the blockchain decentralized security concept emerged, Gary saw this as proof, kind of a proof of concept. of his theory of changing the world, and he created his own cryptocurrency called Dogecoin. Okay, if you fuck with crypto, you've heard of Dogecoin. It was, everybody was like, oh, it's just a joke, ha ha ha, and yet it kept bopping along and eventually got fucking folded into Ethereum, and is like a legit cryptocurrency that generates money. Okay, and the way that the DDP used to work was, well, okay, I'm gonna play this video for you real quick. Gary, don't fucking copyright strike me for playing your video, but I'll play this video for you real quick, and then I'll tell you a little bit more about my experience with the DDP. Okay, so hold on, we're gonna do some technology. Unfortunately, my fucking streaming computer's over there, so I gotta like walk over there, do the thing, but I'm gonna try to make this work. Okay, so cross your fingers for me, y'all. That doesn't seem like it's working, does it? Shit. Fuck. Okay, I didn't set up the audio stream properly. Just give me 1 second.
What is a DDP?
A decentralized dance party.
How does it work?
We push play on a hot track on our iPod, send it through an FM radio transmitter. We tune a battery-powered boombox to the party broadcast.
How many stereos can you transmit to?
1,
2,
3.
or 300.
Okay, cool. That worked. How about that? Fucking technology, right? So we got involved in the DDP 2014, 2015, somewhere around there. I would say 2014 probably. I didn't actually go to the first DDP in Austin, which was a 300 boombox party that ended up with over 2,000 people in attendance, moving through the city streets of Austin, carving down Congress Avenue to the steps of the Capitol building, partied as hard as they could. It was a fucking legendary event, right? I didn't go to that, but I did go to the next one, and immediately was like, whoa, this is something. There's something here. And after that DDP, Gary said, hey, does anybody have some storage space? We just store some boom boxes. And we said, yeah, I have a storage unit. And he said, okay, here's 250 boom boxes. Now, I don't know if you know what 250 fucking boom boxes looks like, but that's a lot of goddamn boom boxes. And, you know, the batteries to go with them and the whole, you know. And we just thought we were helping out a cool party guy to do his cool party thing. Little did we know, Gary LaChance, being the genius that he is, had been traveling around first North America and then the world eventually, and just depositing these caches of boomboxes. And later, we hooked up with a small group of people in Austin who were trying to emulate the DDP formula. They were trying to do DDPs. And, you know, we were connected with them by Gary because, hey, these guys have a transmitter and these guys have some boom boxes. Why don't y'all talk? Now, the genius of fucking Gary LaChance, he was going around and seeding what eventually became to be known as autonomous dance cells. And the people who were doing it at the time, trying to do it in Austin, trying to do DDP Austin, they weren't super great at it. I'm not fucking casting shade on anybody, but, you know, their tech was bad and their technique was bad. And they fucking, we tried as a group multiple times to throw a DDP, any kind of DDP event. We only managed to do one tiny function that didn't attract any people. It was literally like 10 fucking people. And pretty soon, you know, those people's lives took precedence, is that the word? And said, hey, since you guys have the boom boxes, why don't you take the transmitter and the rest of the gear and y'all do it? And my ex-wife initially was the one who said, yes, we can do this. I will do this. But then immediately, obviously to me, was inept, did not have either the technical or functional capabilities to do what was necessary to truly found the DDP Austin. And so I took it upon myself. And once I did that, once I declared myself the Gary of the DDP Austin, we started throwing events. And we started having fucking DDPs. And they were pretty dope. We also then founded in 2015 Floodside. That was our first year as a theme camp. And if you're not familiar with Burning Man culture, each kind of autonomous group comes and has a theme camp. It's people camping together, creating a space that has a theme that other participants can come and interact with and be a part of whatever your art is. And we were the Boombox Cartel. And now and it's funny because we didn't even know there was a fucking EDM, like a dubstep artist called the Boombox Cartel, right? So we showed up on site, and our only intention was to just do the DDP, to just have a start point, put on the fucking backpack, people pick up the boxes, do a couple rounds, and we're done. But when we got there, there's another theme camp, long-running theme camp. Shout out to K-Flip. That's the Flipside radio station. And these guys ran a fucking, a full, pushing at 25 watts, which we were only pushing at like 2 watts, radio station. And when we went over to talk to them, they were like, wow, we're so excited to have another radio station at the Burn. And I was like, radio station? And then he said, and you guys solved the problem that we have been faced with all of these years, is that we bring a radio station, but nobody brings radios. And so nobody can really listen to it. They just have to come to our camp, and that's how they participate in the radio experience. And you solved the problem. You brought radios. And I was like, yeah, we did. Cool idea. And so we fucking set the transmitter up and we started pushing radio waves and distributing boomboxes, letting people come and take boomboxes with the agreement of, hey, please care for it, please don't destroy it, and when you're done, please bring it back. And our first year was pretty rocky because, that was the year there was a natural disaster at the Burn. And it was tough, right? So we didn't have the greatest DDP, but it was fun. And a lot of people, a lot of people kind of enjoyed the concept. We became kind of known as the Boombox guys, right? And we kept participating in the local Burn culture by bringing boomboxes and transmitter and fucking doing the thing. And over that time, I got deeper and deeper into both the functional, practical process of doing the DDP, and also the philosophical aspect of it, and the fact that Gary, when that video was made, when those big DDPs were thrown in Austin before us, you had to garner enough interest in your city and run a Kickstarter that had to be fully funded, that would pay for Gary and the team to come to your city and facilitate a DDP. And by this time, now Gary had completely stopped that part of the process. I'm sorry, this thing's like, it's fucking with me a little bit. Hold on. Okay. Check. All right. His movement at this point had become completely crypto funded. He was just printing fucking money because he created fucking Dogecoin. And Gary has been, as long as I've known him, working on both a field manual, which I have the copy from 2015 that we printed out and then got flood sided. So it's like a binder this thick of like warped, swollen printer paper with hundreds and hundreds of pages of fucking party manifesto printed on it. And Gary continued activating more and more dance cells. More and more cities started to have, God damn it, started to have their own DDP. I'm really sorry if this is fucking with the audio. I'm just, it's bothering me. So the movement not only became self-perpetuating, but now it was growing organically, and more people were learning this art form. But the thing that I personally, and I'm going to wrap the story with this final little bit of coolness and why I'm kind of jazzed up on the DDP right now, and wanted to talk to you guys about this. I was the first Gary. Now, something to understand about Tom and Gary's Decentralized Dance Party. They say Tom and Gary are the guys who created it, right? But the original Tom was only a part of the movement for a short time. And then, when he left, they got a new guy to do the role of Tom at the party, and to be called Tom, even though his name was like Vincent or something. So there was already this concept of that Tom was a title and a role in the practical process of throwing a DDP. And in very simplified terms, Gary is the back of the party. And it's funny because, Gary with his monotone way of speaking and not emoting, he doesn't stand out. He doesn't make it at all about him, even though he's playing the tunes and he's talking through all the boom boxes. He's guiding and sculpting the party, which is a fucking art in and of itself that I could talk about every aspect of the DDP for an hour. Okay. I'm trying to keep this stream under 2 hours, so I'm going to wrap it up here pretty quick. But I kind of declared that, sorry. So, Gary is the back of the party, wears the pirate radio station, holds the iPod, holds the microphone. Tom is the front of the party. Tom wears a big blinking fucking... We wear party armor, this stuff called party armor. I'll show you mine here in just a sec. He wears big flashing party armor, and he carries a big LED light up wand. We called ours the disco stick, although I don't think that's the global nomenclature for it. And the way it works is Gary plays music and tells people to either stop and dance or to follow the disco stick and move, go that way. And so I kind of declared, hey, if Tom is a role and a title and an honorific, then Gary obviously is too. So I started calling myself Gary while I was at the DDP. I actually got to shadow Gary and wear the backup transmitter at a DDP in Houston that was like 250 people. And that's when I learned so much, not only about how to like emulate his personality, but also the like subtleties of really what goes into being Gary. And I even, this is a really cool story from that party. We got stopped by a really aggressive HPD officer. And at the beginning of this interaction, this guy was like, you guys can't be here. This is too loud. This is too wild. Can't do this. Gary reaches over, turns down the music. He says, is that better? Cop's like, yeah, okay. He says, okay, what is the actual noise and gathering ordinance around here? So that we can do our best to be in compliance with it. Cop says, well, I don't actually know, but you just can't be out here being loud and wild. He says, okay, we're happy. Look, I can control the volume of this. We're happy to keep it at a reasonable level. If you look around, nobody here is causing any trouble. Nobody here is intoxicated. All we're here to do is celebrate and spread positivity and good vibes. And then he says to the officer, I really, really appreciate you coming out, making sure that we're safe, that this is good, that we're a welcome entity in your city. And then he fucking turns up his microphone and he says, hey, everybody, let's have a round of applause for Officer Dinglenuts. And everybody, woo, yeah, woo. And you just saw this cop go like, yeah. Got in his car, drove away. Gary races over, turns the fucking music back up, and we fucking raged down the road. And we called that Canadian mind tricks, like Jedi mind tricks, right? So the DDP, and now I've retired from the DDP. When we split, I left the boomboxes with my ex. But I left her the transmitter, but I took my antenna that I built because they fucking discontinued that antenna and you can't get it anymore. And it's the bomb. And all I need to do is just buy another fucking transmitter to plug into it. And I can, my plan originally was to install the transmitter and antenna into my RV and carry in the underbody a small cache of boomboxes just for personal use and fun. I haven't done that yet, but who knows? I may get there at some point. So I sent something that's the DDP and the DDP Austin. We were the very first autonomous dance cell. Okay, we were the first people outside of Gary LaChance to attempt to throw DDPs, to be a DDP, and we were christened. We were got the blessing, right? And the distinction, the honor of I was the first Gary of the first autonomous dance cell in the global decentralization movement. And I'm fucking proud of that because we brute forced that shit, okay? We had guidance, we had inspiration, but Gary was also very hands-off. We were autonomous. And so we followed the processes of the manual and the philosophy, but we also refined and developed the art form and moved it into new spaces and in new ways that Gary never even thought about. You know, the boombox lending library, that was my invention. And, you know, like I said, that became the defining factor in hundreds of people's experience at Flipside 2016. And I carry a great deal of honor in that. But one of the funny things about it is that it was also, we didn't ask for any help. We didn't ever say, Gary, can you send or give us blank? We just fucking did it ourselves. And it's funny because we never even got official DDP stickers. You know, we printed our own out and taped them onto the boomboxes, just like the original boomboxes were. You know, before the DDP got big, that's what they did. And a lot of the boomboxes that we had, I still actually have. It's, did I put it on the wall yet? I don't think I did. Oh no, it's right here. It's right here. I'll try to show it to you, but cameras and shit. I still have one of the like original printed out on fucking sticker paper and taped onto boomboxes stickers right here, right? And so I reached out to Gary a couple months ago and I just said, hey man, I don't have any DDP stickers. I never got an official DDP sticker. It's funny, my party armor over here, which I have mounted on the wall, I actually drew the DDP logo by hand on a piece of glow duct tape. You know, duct tape being one of the like holy relics of the DDP. And that was it. I said, can I get a couple stickers? He says, just a couple stickers? I'm like, yeah. He's like, okay, cool. Now, in the party in Houston, when I shadowed Gary, at the end of it, he gave me several pieces of what I have come to refer to as partifacts. And that's like an item that has partied so much that it is imbued with the mystical energy of the party. It becomes like a holy relic of the sacred act of partying, right? And he gave me a couple of armbands, you know, the like fringy armbands, and he gave me the jammy pack that he wore at that DDP, and he had worn at many or previous DDPs. And but when I got home, the jammy pack was non-functional. It didn't work. And a jammy pack, I'm gonna figure this camera thing out here in one fucking second. A jammy pack is a fanny pack that has little speakers in it. It's a tiny little boombox fanny pack. But he gave me his jammy pack. And that was just something that like holy relic, right? And so whenever I was Gary, I wore that jammy pack and it was part of my adventures. And I had mentioned to Gary at some point that, you know, that jammy pack didn't work. And so a couple of days ago, I got a package from Canada, which, funny side note, Gary is currently banned from entering the United States because of his involvement with a fundraiser party in the U.S. that he, as a Canadian citizen, was not licensed to profit off of a thing, you know, business, whatever. And even though it was a non-profit, you know, fundraising event, the fucking United States government barred Gary from entering the fucking United States. But I got a package. I cut it open. Inside there is, I'm going to grab it. there is a brand new, fully functional jammy pack, and it was filled to the brim with not just DDP stickers, but like DDP stickers and business cards that range over, sourced from many points in the DDP timeline. And some of these were like very old and like literally like worn and tattered. Like you could tell that this just rode around in Gary's fucking jammy pack for years and just was a part of the DDP. And you know, that already just fucking floored me, right? I'm like already getting choked up. But the thing that meant more to me than anything is, you know, Gary, part of the Gary uniform is a pair of wraparound mirror shades. And I had several different pairs of, you know, my signature shades that I wore when I was Gary. But Gary's crazy Canadian ass, his fucking wonderful, beautiful, genius self, he sent me these. And these are not just official Gary shades. These are the Gary shades. These are the not like another copy of the ones that he likes. These were his. They're scratched and smudged and worn from traveling literally around the world and spreading world peace through partying. You know, the kind of signature uniform item of being Gary, that Gary sent me his shades. And the depth of how much that meant to me, just it floored me. I was just and you know, the fact that the DDP was something that me and my ex-wife did together, I have kind of compartmentalized to a certain degree. And I, you know, had kind of stepped back inside my head from the good that I generated in the world by doing that and being that. And so that all came flooding back. I'm overcome with emotion. I'm just fucking sobbing. I start texting Gary. He fucking starts, you know, he comes in to the conversation after I've sent like 20 messages already, and pretty soon Gary's crying too, you know. And he, you know, he said not only you know, my his gratitude for my role in being the first Gary besides Gary, and the, you know, especially the effort that I put into that event at Flipside, you know, where we spoke on the phone, and he told me a story of waking up in Rome, Italy, after he had been vomiting and shitting continuously all night. He didn't think that he could leave the hotel room without shitting his pants, but he knew that this magical, mystical party energy that comes from somewhere, when you put on the fucking transmitter, when you put on the glove, you put on the glasses, that you plug into something bigger than yourself, and it powers you, you know. And Gary, he offered me, he said, hey, and you guys should go to the DDP. I think it's the DDP.com, or just search for Tom Gary's Decentralized Dance Party. I'll put links in the description once the video is published, if you want to check it out. He's continuing on this project of, like, they're selling peace bonds, which are the opposite of war bonds, to continue funding the global movement, as well as the creation and distribution of the DDP manual. And they, this whole time, have been working on kind of an open source documentary film that is vectoring towards actual, like, theatrical release and distribution as a film. And Gary told me that he really wants and I welcomes my participation in it, that we are gonna sit down and have a long, deep dive conversation on my experience with the DDP, and especially the title and role in both the practical and philosophical aspects of being Gary of the DDP. So yeah, these are a holy artifact. I'm going to move my camera around, so this might get wonky, but I'm just going to turn it so you can see my party armor, because I just want to show that off. And so you can see, above it is my jammy pack and one of my pair of party shades, and my cape, and this was my party armor. And I'm gonna try to zoom it in here and show you my old DDP logo. So yeah, you can see the hand-drawn logo. And so one of the stickers Gary sent me is this beautiful fucking hollow foil DDP. So that's going over my old DDP logo. And let me see. I'm going to switch cameras. This right here is one of the stickers, the not even a sticker, just printed on a piece of paper that was taped to one of the original boom boxes that went around the world with Gary and then ended up in my possession. So that's pretty much my show. That's right at the 2-hour mark. Fucking nailed it. Stop saying Mr. No Bones. My final, gotta just say it. I know this is all very cringe, but please click like on this video. Please subscribe to my channel. Please share any of my content. It really, really helps broaden my distribution, so get more eyes on me, so I can keep growing this thing. It really, really helps. And visit Mr. No Bones. Where's it? There it is. Over here. MrNoBones.com, where I have conveniently made a hub of all of my different media and writings and teachings and thoughts and everything. And you can listen to my music, you can read my writings, you can watch my old videos, and one more time, if you want to join this list of cool people down here and get a shout out on the stream, just click that support button, MrNoBones.com/support, and any generosity is felt equally, regardless of the monetary size unit, right? So, I've had a solid 5 viewers for 2 hours. Thanks, Jason. I appreciate that. I really fucking am just grateful as shit. Every time I do this, I have more people tuned in. Amanda Malice, that was, she was my second real girlfriend in high school, and she's the girl who turned me into a punk rocker, and I fucking still have mad love. She's fucking gangster. So, yeah. That's it, man. That's about all I got. Thank you guys. It's just I don't know, man. It's a fucking special feeling. It's a special feeling. I've had lots of opportunities to stand in front of a lot of people and do a lot of things, and I love it, and I'm gonna keep trying to do it as best I can. And so I'm just gonna fucking leave you with the theme song that I used entering our broadcast, Sextina Aquafina, Get Dat Fetus, Kill Dat Fetus.
I'm a baby killer. Baby killer makes me horny. Aliens inside me who gonna squash it like some goony.
Get that fetus, kill that fetus, get that fetus, kill that fetus. Rap, rap, kill, kill, rap, rap.
Yo, all I wanna do is black, black, pew, pew. A bang, bang, a boom, boom. From the womb to the tomb. I'm a tough and down-faced bitches in my crawl space. Have abortions sometimes? No, I'ma have abortions always.
Get that fetus, kill that fetus, get that fetus, kill that fetus.